Life isn't a linear journey with perfectly marked milestones. Instead, it's more like a forest, vast, beautiful, sometimes shadowed, and full of paths that we can go through without knowing where they will take us. The real skill to learn in our 20s is learning to navigate this forest without knowing exactly where we're headed. And the truth is, it's okay not to always know. This season, as you know, we're talking about some skills, some things that I wish I had known earlier in life, and some things that are very essential to navigate our 20s successfully. In today's episode, we're exploring a few essential life skills that might not always be talked about, but will deeply shape how we live and grow. These are the skills that help us find our way on the map, even when the path is unclear and the future is wide open. So let's begin. So, the first life skill that I think is very essential is embracing uncertainty. I'm not talking about only tolerating uncertainty or pretending it's not there, but truly welcoming the unknown as part of life. When we are younger, it's easy to believe that everyone else's life has been figured out. We see people around us landing jobs, making decisions, moving forward, and it's tempting to feel like we need to catch up to know our path for sure as soon as possible. But what if the most valuable thing we can do is to not rush to find certainty, but instead to embrace the space where the path hasn't been marked out yet? There was this book I read. I think it has also been made into a movie. It's called Wild by Cheryl Strayed. She sets off on the Pacific Crest Trail with little knowledge of hiking, no idea of what she's searching for, only that she needed to walk through uncertainty to find herself again. That journey, difficult, messy, and full of unexpected lessons, was where she found clarity. And I think that's very relevant in our lives as well. Embracing uncertainty isn't being passive. It's not about waiting for answers to fall into our lap. It's about stepping into the unknown, trusting that each step, even when it feels aimless, will lead us towards something real and meaningful. Straight's journey showed us that it's not about conquering the wilderness, but letting the wilderness transform us. And the wilderness in this case is life itself. Life skill number 2 is resilience. Resilience through failure. We've all heard the saying that failure is a part of life, but how many of us actually embrace it as the normal part of life? How many of us don't give up after a certain failure in our jobs, relationships, whatever it is that we're trying? Resilience is not just about bouncing back. It's about learning to reframe failure as a step towards growth. In the TV series Queen's Gambit, Beth Harmon, her brilliance as a chess player didn't come from winning every match. In fact, it was through her losses, both on the board and in life, that she learned the most. She confronted her personal demons, made mistakes, even spiraled at times. But each time she failed, she stood back up stronger, more self-aware, more determined. Resilience is not about never failing. We're all going to fail many times if we're trying things. It's about learning to rise up after we fall down, a little wiser, a little more prepared to learn from our mistakes. In our 20s, we will fail in jobs, relationships, and trying to figure out who we are, and many different things that we might try. And just like Beth, each failure offers an opportunity. It's not a mark of defeat, but it's a chance for us to refine ourselves, to refine our game, so to say. It's through these cracks that our resilience begins to shine. Number 3, another essential skill is being able to sit in solitude. In a world that glorifies action, it's always go, 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 hustle culture, the more things that you do, the better. In a society that prizes connection, we often forget the profound value of being alone, in a way, connection to ourselves. Solitude is not loneliness or just being alone. It's a practice. In the movie Eat, Pray, Love, the main character, she travels alone, dines alone, and spends many nights in solitude as she tried to rediscover who she was. In those moments of silence, she confronted her deepest fears, her desires, her truths, and in doing so, she learned how to truly listen to herself. It's not always easy to sit in the quiet, especially when the world outside is buzzing with noise. And it's in those quiet moments that we hear our inner voice the clearest. Something that I think should be noted is that sitting with our phones or devices does not count as solitude, even if we're doing them usually alone, because we're not spending time with ourselves. We're immersing ourselves in another reality, in a way, being disconnected with ourselves. Solitude, truly being with ourselves, allows us to check in, to recalibrate, to figure out whether the path we're on is one we're choosing or one that we're simply following because everyone else is. It's not about isolating ourselves for long periods of times, but it's about deepening our relationship with ourselves. It might be just few hours or even minutes per day to just sit and spend time with ourselves. It's about learning that we're enough even when no one is watching. Life skill number 4, resourcefulness. This is a skill that often gets overlooked, but the younger, the less experienced we are, the more crucial it is. Because when we're younger, we don't have as many resources, as many connections or experience, not enough money. So the skill of finding a way to do things with the resources that we have is very important. This isn't just about making do with less. It's about thinking creatively when the road ahead isn't clear, when things don't go as planned. It's about pivoting and finding new ways. Resourcefulness is essentially turning obstacles into opportunities, even when the odds are stacked against you. In our 20s, we won't always have all the answers. We don't have the money or the connections, but resourcefulness is the skill that allows us to turn what little we have into something powerful or meaningful. And instead of waiting for the perfect moment, it's about using what's in front of us to keep forward, to still go for what we desire or what our dreams are, or to accomplish our dreams. And hand in hand with all these life skills goes the last essential life skill, in my opinion, and that's self-compassion. Because things go wrong, and what we do in these moments is the most important thing. Self-compassion is perhaps the most underrated skill of all. We live in a world that glorifies hustle, that tells us we should always be striving, achieving. But what happens when we fall short? What happens when things don't go according to plan? This is where self-compassion comes in. It's the skill of treating ourselves with kindness, with understanding that mistakes are part of the journey, and especially the younger we are in this decade, often filled with high expectations and inevitable disappointments, self-compassion is what allows us to keep going, to learn from our failure without being defined by them. It's not about lowering our standards. It's about recognizing that we are worthy of kindness even when things don't go the way we hoped, that we're not perfect. It seems like just a soft skill, but it's a lifeline, in my opinion. It is what allows us to get back up, to keep moving forward, and to grow into the person we're meant to become. We all know that friend who's hardest on themselves, or maybe it's us that's always hard on ourselves when things don't go perfectly. And especially it is hard to be kind to ourselves when we don't know the causes of our shortcomings. It's even more important to be compassionate to ourselves when we don't know what's going in the background. And in these moments, to approach situations with curiosity and at the same time, self-compassion is really important. So, where does this leave us? Maybe it's simple. Maybe it leaves us in the middle of the forest, not with a perfect map, but with the knowledge that we have the skills to find our way through. These skills, embracing uncertainty, resilience, through failure, the power of solitude, resourcefulness, and self-compassion, are the tools that will guide us even when the path is unclear, which it will be most of the time. Now close your eyes for a moment if you're not driving. Picture that forest again. It's vast, full of potential, a lot of paths that you can take. Now, instead of being afraid of the unknown, and instead of being paralyzed about which path to go through, imagine walking into it with curiosity, with trust, in your own ability to navigate whatever comes next. This has been Must Knows Before You Die. Thank you for joining me today. Remember, life is not about having all the answers. It's about learning to trust your own journey, one skill, one step at a time.